Hey guys, this is Love You Bro Podcast, and we want to thank our sponsor. Our sponsor for this episode tonight is brought to you by UPS Store in Mission. My man Dan Malott, Puma D over there at Mission. They're at 5400 Johnson Drive in Mission, Kansas. I always like using the UPS Store guys because there's so much stuff they can do there. They can do business cards, they can do your printing stuff, they can handle all your shipping needs. So when you get a chance, you get an opportunity, please pop down to see our guy Puma D, Dan Malott over at UPS Store in Mission. They'll handle all your shipping needs. So thank you to the UPS Store for sponsoring this episode. Welcome to Love You Bro Podcast. I am your host, Jude Davella, as I'm always doing it every week with my brother Jamie.
What it do?
Man, Jamie, we got a special guest on the set tonight, man. You guys, as you know, we dive into a lot of sports topics and a lot of Chiefs stuff, a lot of college stuff, a lot of Royal stuff. And we've been talking a long time about wanting to get into the soccer world. So we want to welcome our special guest today, Jake. Jake, what's up, my man? How are you?
How's it going, everybody?
Jake D, what up, my guy?
It's good. It's good. Thank you guys for having me.
Man, we're stoked. I've been stoked since this all got set up and working with Patrick on this. And man, we're excited to have you here, man.
Yeah, this is sweet. I've never been on a podcast, like I said, so this is cool.
See, I got a face to for a podcast. You got a face for like the TV. So we need to get this shit rolling on YouTube TV. Because
giddy up.
Jake, thank you so much for taking time seriously out of your schedule. I know how busy you are. I know you're in season right now, so thank you so much. We're just going to really, Jamie and I were talking, and we started talking about you and really want to know some of the stories. I think the biggest and our first story we want to hear about, I read that when you came here to Kansas City, that it was 2017, you were 15 years old, and that your dad had come to you and asked you if you wanted to play pro soccer in MLS. Tell us a little bit about that story and how you got to Kansas City at 15.
Which is crazy because when, you're reading this and kind of knowing like 15, I was like, man, what class am I going to skip? Am I going to skip algebra? You're making a decision to come, to leave, in suburbs of Detroit to come to Kansas City, go to a host family. And what was that conversation like with your mom and dad?
Honestly, sitting here talking to you guys about it, it's so strange because when I was 15, it's even hard looking back, what went through my head.
Sure.
When I'm 15, I don't really even think I knew exactly what I was signing up for. I think I just, I love soccer.
Sure.
Right. And so I was looking for anything to play. And so how that conversation happened, I was playing for a team in Michigan called Vardar.
Right.
You was a dog for Vardar too.
Yeah, I was playing good, and so and it was not clear, but I was doing well there, and so in Michigan though, there's no pro team, there's really no pro pathway, and so really the most I could have done at Vardar was play 3 more years there, and then gone to college, right? Which is not a bad pathway at all, but at the time it was more of a trend that people were going to MLS academies and from out of state. And so my dad, he's in the soccer industry. He works for Adidas, and obviously he's been there for, 20 years. And so he's on the soccer side.
Right.
And so he has a lot of connections and he knows a lot of people. And so when it came to it, he had the idea hey, do you know about this? Have you thought about it?
Sure.
And it wasn't necessarily sporting at first. I went to trial at Portland Timbers when I was 14.
Okay.
And I did good, and I was supposed to go there and play.
Right.
And then later that summer, there was a showcase, and the old coach for the academy, his name's Rumba.
Okay.
He watched me play, and they were like, yeah, this kid's good. And at the time, there was also a U15 national team tournament, and I got signed. I made the roster or whatever. So that kind of brought me more attention from other teams. So it was Sporting, Columbus Crew, and Portland. And so I came to Sporting based off of a lot of the things that were going on. I think Sporting had modernized the host family situation. And so when I moved here, Gianluca Busio was coming up through the ranks, and he had just signed for the first team by living with the host family and going through that. And so so after coming to Sporting and seeing it and seeing what it was about, everything had a green flag.
Sure.
And so when I went back home that summer to have the conversation, it's kind of hard to remember, but it was just really do you want to do this? If you're going to go there, it's not just to like, excuse my language, like it's not
bullshit.
It's not to go there to dick around.
Right,
Like,
of course, yeah.
And so at the time, I think when I was 15, I was so eager to just try to like do anything I could. And, you know, I think a lot of nowadays it's all about mentality and I want to do something. And I think at 15, I really just loved the game, you know,
Right.
and I think I just wanted to get better.
Sure.
And so like I was devoted to just playing the game, wherever that was.
Yeah.
And it's like my dad and I talk about this all the time, but it's like, he's like, when I'm looking back, it's crazy that we let you go when you were 15.
And
like,
that's what I was going to ask is like how I can't imagine it being 15 and going to a host family and how important that family must have been in your development, not only obviously with the academy, but like just as a young man at 15 going to a host family.
It was like, honestly, I mean, I've never experienced anything like it obviously since, but like when I came here to look at the place in the summer, I met the family.
Right.
So Chris, Julie Hodge, they had a daughter named Kaylin. And like, this is how it's supposed to go. It's just a random family that signs up to host a player.
Of course.
Right.
So like when we were here in the summer with my family in 2017, we literally just showed up to their house with Betsy Maxfield. She used to run the host family program here. We just showed up and we met. Like, you just met them randomly.
That is so crazy to me. I mean, like, you know.
And I feel like I'm a fairly good talker and I'm socially good, but like it was so strange, like meeting just people that you know you're gonna live with.
You're gonna live there.
It's like so strange, and so it went well. And I obviously like I feel like I'm a nice guy, so like it went well. And so then eventually I committed to going, and I had a conversation with my nanny. Like, you know, she's not with us anymore, but she just really said to me like, you know, if you really want to try to be a pro, because coming here wasn't a guarantee to be a pro.
Of course.
That's the biggest thing I want a lot of players to know too who are doing this.
Right.
It's not a guarantee. It's just
It's an opportunity, right?
Yeah, and so you're sacrificing years with your family and memories and like moments with them. And so it's like if you're gonna do this, just know that's coming.
Yeah.
Right.
And you got to be up for whatever comes because it's not gonna be easy. And so when I was 15, I don't think I really had that wisdom yet. I was just kind of like an emotional, like I love the game. And so she kind of hit me with that. And I just said, yeah, like I want to do this.
You know,
so,
as parents, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good.
As parents, we have a tough time letting our kids go to college.
Yeah.
So when you're looking at 15, like you said, like you know you just love the game and want to play. So as a parent, it's so tough to let our kids go off to college. And I just can't imagine your mom and dad, like, you know, like they said, looking back when your dad says, I can't believe I let you go. Like, that's a lot. You're 15.
It was tough. Like, and I think the reason why it went so smoothly in the beginning is because my dad was familiar with like academy directors who had, you know, people who run academies.
Right. Sure.
So he knew how the process went, and we had that knowledge at least. But I remember like the day that I left Michigan, I swear I thought I was going to be so tough. Like I thought I was this guy like leaving like, whatever, you know, this cool thing that not a lot of people do. And like I was at my cabin in northern Michigan. And so we were really close with my neighbors. Like we were 15, we we're all buddies and really close with the family. And like, so now it's time to say bye, right? Like I'm flying the next day. And so like I remember this vividly. Like I'm on the patio and her name's Amy Alex, the mom of our neighbors. She just gave me a really tight hug. Like, and she, you know, we were really close with them. And so it really meant a lot. And like, I swear I just started bawling. Like just started bawling. And like, and then like, I tried to, like, it was one of those where you just can't stop, you know? And so like, then like, you know, their family came and gave me a hug, and then, you know, this is kind of sad, and I don't want, this is not to damper anything, but like, it's just what happened.
No, that's like, the real stuff. Yeah.
And like makes the moments more special, like the sacrifice. Like my brother was so young, like he was like 12, and like he was confused, you know, like, where's he going?
Where are we sending my brother off?
Yeah. And so he was, you know, chasing me out the door and whatever. And so like, but you know, it sounds sad, but like, those moments make me realize, first off, how much of a sacrifice it was. And like, I really came here and it paid off. I committed everything I had. And it's hard to look back on that and those sacrifices, but like, I truly think it was worth it. And like, I'm so happy that I did that.
And obviously you went from the academy to the second team to which is an unbelievable story and so cool. And that, I mean, it obviously the dedication and, you know, not only the sacrifice you made personally, but I mean, you lock in at 15.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot of dudes, you know, that can say that lock in at 15.
Yeah.
That it's like, it's no longer like, you know, it's kind of fun. You're playing some club shit. You're doing your thing. Yeah. It's like, this shit is real. And you had to like mentally, you had to be a grown man, like lock in. This is my future. And I've committed to this. So that's a big, you know, it's a big thing, man.
It was, you had to grow up fast for sure. And I think that's the part where like, I kind of regret this. But like I went to high school here. Like I was in a high school for 3 years. And I wish it's so
How was
hard.
that, Jake? Was like, when they knew when you were a sporting guy?
Where'd you go to high school? Where'd you go to high school?
Blue Valley West.
Okay, so you're at Blue Valley West.
Yeah.
So they got a soccer team, but they know like you're here, like you're here playing with the big boys.
Yeah,
like,
you're not allowed to play high school soccer when you're with this team. Yeah. So like, it was kind of like, you know, I'm not afraid to say this. I know there's probably maybe some people listening that I went to high school with, but like, it was strange. Like, I had a group. So some of my teammates in the academy went to high school with me. And like we were kind of like a posse, you know, like we would walk around, and I think some people got confused if maybe we thought we were better because we were in the academy. And
I know you was flossed out in that Adidas gear though.
Yeah,
and you looking clean.
Yeah,
wearing Yeezys and
exactly, like pulling up into stuff like this. Like I think people got confused. Maybe we all thought we were higher up, but like we were just some silly kids, just like trying to live.
Back in the day, I'd been like, man, how can I get in with them boys there, boy?
We were a couple silly kids that's playing football and basketball. We thought we were pretty cool. I can't imagine if we were playing for a team like this and wearing the gear in and coming to school.
It's so funny though, because like looking back, like we were just some dumbasses. Like we so when there was lunch at this school, it was different in high school. Like I don't really remember this, but like classes were broken up. So sometimes you'd have 3 classes a day that were longer, and then you'd have 4 that were shorter. Right. But on the days that there were 3 classes, you'd have an hour and a half lunch. But they made it like that. Yeah, it's trouble. Yeah, it's trouble. So they made it like that so you could go study at the same time. You could go do homework, which was, I can't believe a school did that.
Yeah.
You know? But so I remember first off, we did like chess club for fun. Yeah, we would all play against each other. If you lost, you got slapped. And then sometimes, so we would find like a place in the school and we'd have a bottle, right? And so I was the youngest, so sometimes I fell for stuff. But like, we would play this game where you had to flip a bottle.
Flip a bottle, yeah.
And you had to land it. So everyone would go, and it was so basically the last person to not do it would get slapped by everybody. So all these real students of high school are out there studying. They're just minding their own business.
You guys are
and you guys, and we're just out there slapping the crap out of each other. Like and it was so funny because like a couple times I don't really remember how I got played, but they like tricked me into something. I don't know. So these guys, they were all older than me, and they were slapping me in the back of the neck. And it's just funny how it goes. Like I was the new guy.
Of course.
I was the new guy. So like. And so I remember, like, to this day, I still talk to these guys. So it's funny to look back on these memories. But yeah, definitely being like in the academy, I think it, like, I don't want this to sound like weird, but like it was definitely different than a normal life of a 15-year-old kid, a kid in high school, even from 15, 16, 17, like the things you had to do outside of school, like outside of like what you would think of a normal life.
Yeah.
And the discipline and like the focus. So, and it's made me into the person I am, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
Of course.
Yeah.
And so it was hard. There were some lows and like stuff that you wouldn't think I would go through, but it made me a better person.
Yeah, and I can't even imagine, you know, once again, and all bullshit aside, like, you know, being 15, I know some shit I went through at 15 that you just wanted moms and pops there, you know? Like, you know, I'm just saying like that you can have, you know, but to have that hug from mom when you had a bad day at 15, you know,
tough,
and that shit wasn't there. I can't imagine, like I said, that you know, that was tough, right?
Yeah. Like, luckily, you know, like my host family was good. Sure. They were friendly. They were everything you would want in a good host family. Because sometimes some kids they have to switch host families. Like sometimes there's not like a connection.
Of course,
you know?
Of course. You're not gonna connect with everybody.
Yeah, and so I tried to do my best job of, you know, being respectful, living by their rules if I'm under their house, you know, and then eventually the respect gained, you know, like mutual respect. And so I'm really grateful for them. I lived with them for 3 years in a row. So but yeah, like what you said, like, you know, it's always people always say everyone's a phone call away nowadays. But like, you know, the actual like feeling of going home and feeling like safe. You
Yeah.
know, like there's nothing that's gonna.
Mom and dad.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so my first like 4 months I lived here, I kid you not, like I don't know, I can't believe I'm saying it. Like literally, I would go to sleep with my mom on the phone.
Oh
like,
man,
I
that's
would
beautiful,
just call my
though, bro.
mom and I
That's
would just like
beautiful.
put it on the side.
That's
and, like,
beautiful, though, man. And that's, I
Yeah.
mean, that's a. So let me ask you: so when you would get done at school, so did you go like 4 hours and then you had to start training, or how did that incorporate when you were in high school?
Yeah, that's
and
what,
like
that's
how
what I was
that-
curious, like how your training went.
like the practice life,
Yeah.
basically. So like, if I remember correctly, it was more like I would go to school. So the first year I went to high school as a sophomore, I would go to school the whole day, and then academy training was at like 2:30 or 3. So straight from school, I would just drive. My Cam Duke, he used to play for Sporting. He would drive me to practice every day. So that's how I kind of got closer with people. I
Sure.
would just get rides.
Yeah.
And so you go from practice at 3:30, you get there an hour and a half early. So really practice was at like 5 or something.
Sure.
And then you train, lift, go home, do homework, and then repeat it.
Same thing
Repeat
every
it,
day.
man. And that's that's
5
yeah.
days a week, 7 days a
Yeah,
week.
it's just like the pro team. Like you
Just
do it
like the
every
pro team.
day.
Every day.
Every day is training, which is different. Like when you asked me why, like when I moved here, like
Right.
at Vardar in Michigan, the clubs there, you don't train like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Like Sporting, the academy was like literally a mimic of the first team. And so at Vardar, you train like 3 times a week,
Sure.
or 2, sometimes in the winter.
Right.
Like, so talk about like when you talk about repetition at a high level, that's why academies nowadays are so good, because
Sure.
there's so much more like their intent and their purpose of how they train is exactly like how pros are. And so that's how I got better,
Right.
just the repetition and
Sure.
obviously it being a high level.
Yeah.
Well,
Absolutely.
so what have you noticed in the MLS? You know, MLS, to me, it seems like in the last 10 years has grown so much in the United
Yeah.
States, and it's gotten so much better.
Yeah.
Tell me about your kind of take on the MLS and kind of its growth and what you've seen since you've been here. I mean, I want to say, I know you're such a young man, you're 23, but you've been here since 2017.
Yeah.
That's for 8 years.
Yeah.
So in the 8 years you've been here, what type of growth have you seen, like in MLS, like NKC's, you know, their
Yeah.
team and their...
Well, when I first got here too, when I would go to the games and watch, like I didn't, you know, I'm from Michigan. There's no team there, so I'm always watching MLS games on TV.
Right.
But when I came here to watch a game, like I was honestly surprised. And I'm not saying this now. Obviously, this is when I was 15. I'm like, wow, like, you know, soccer in America, it was on the upcome.
Sure.
But like, or the come up, sorry.
Yeah.
But like, it wasn't like when you go to a Chiefs game or
Sure.
a Royals game. Like,
Yeah.
But when I got here, I was like, wow, like there's a lot of support. You know,
Yeah.
like this is sweet. And you know, you look at some other MLS teams back then, and there wasn't support like that.
Yeah.
You know, there was good
And
fans.
even back then, Jake, there was a lot of teams that were in the MLS that were playing in like
Yeah,
football
yeah.
stadiums and
Exactly,
shit.
exactly.
And so, and I would imagine obviously you grew up in the academy, but your guys' stadium is sick.
It's sweet.
Like
No,
it's
it's
sick,
perfect.
man.
It's
It is
perfect.
such a beautiful place to watch a game from.
Yeah.
And the organization has always been so ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
You know, and even back, you know, and when teams from England were coming here,
Yeah.
they were like, this shit's state of the art. Like
Yeah,
this
yeah.
this is badass shit.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just kind of thrown together. Or, you know, I remember going back to the Wizards when they would play at Arrowhead,
Yeah.
and it was like there'd be 11,000 fans,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it felt like
In the lower
a
bowl.
high
Empty.
school
Yeah,
high school
yeah,
game
yeah,
where you
yeah.
could hear conversations going on 2 sections over, and I mean just the branding. But you know, once again, when Sporting went to Sporting, I remember a lot of people being like, "What the fuck, Sporting?" Like,
Yeah.
and I was like, "It's so brilliant and
Yeah.
so incredibly smart."
Yeah.
And their branding, you know, your kits, all of it,
Exactly.
so far ahead of the curve
For sure.
and just, you know, which is such a, I mean, once again, I think it's super dope and like,
Yeah, especially at that time too, when Sporting rebranded and they built the stadium. Like, talk about ahead of the curve. Like nowadays, the thing is there's NWSL teams and MLS teams, you know, building these state of the art facilities.
Right.
But think about it, back then when Sporting rebranded and they built a stadium, that's like the first.
Right.
Like no team really does that.
Right.
That had done that. And then when I moved here in 2017, they built the state of the art pinnacle where we train now. And so.
Yeah.
You know, like Sporting is always evolving, I always feel
Yeah.
like. And when you talk about how MLS has changed, I think like overall, not just Sporting, but the league, it's the quality has gotten better.
Right.
And just like like I would say marketing has a lot to do with stuff, you know, and like how the
course.
league looks and
Right,
like
sure.
who they're promoting and the players that play in here. And I think they've done a good job of making it also more available, you could
Yeah.
say. Like
Of
it's
course.
easy
Yeah.
to, and like the schedule back then used to be so weird. Like, some games Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. Like, it was all mixed up, you know, and like now there's games Saturday. Yeah. There's always going to be a game Saturday or Sunday.
Which is awesome. I think it's a great branding and a great product that's just
simple.
100%.
You know, for us being a couple Kansas City kids, we were born and bred here. Yeah. So we love our city and seeing what they did at sporting, started going to sporting games out there. How cool is it to see what they're doing just across town at the KC Current and see the women, they'll be, first women's all women's soccer, stadium in Kansas City. How cool is it to see that? And have you been over to that stadium?
I've been plenty of times. I love going there. I think, so I have there's a couple of girls on the team that are from Michigan that I train with in the off season. So I know them really well. Izzy Rodriguez and Michelle Cooper. Okay. So
Tell them they got to come on Love You, bro.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Shout out to the Current. We need some Current on here.
Yeah. So I'm close with them. Michelle was actually my neighbor. So I talked about the cabin that I lived at. She was my neighbor since I was like 8.
Oh wow. Okay.
So
your neighborhood was like a soccer factory.
Yeah, I swear.
You guys are just putting
like. We would literally play soccer together. Like there's photos of us literally there's videos of us playing at some random high school.
And cool. So now you're sporting KC and she's over at KC Current.
So
that's super cool.
I always go, like, whenever I get the chance, I'd go to the games. And honestly, I shouldn't say this, but like sometimes there is a rare occasion where we play on the same day at home. Mm-hmm. And so game days are not really doing anything. So I'd always ask them for tickets and I'll pop over for like the first 30 minutes of their game and then go home.
That's super cool. I like that, man. That's really cool.
Sweet. I love what they're doing. Like, what they're doing is amazing. Right. I swear.
And to talk about like, for me, like the evolution of the MLS and where it's going and how many players are getting developed in academies now, it's like, I like to reference it when I talk to people about what the NBA was back, the Dream Team.
Yeah.
And so when they were that, so then you start getting all of these basketball academies in China, in France, which France, they may beat the United States in the Olympics. I mean, that's how good they are. Right. But they start developing all these young kids and young talent. Now the NBA is, filtered with a bunch of Europeans who are hooping and balling. But, and now I think U.S. soccer has gotten better and better and better, which every, whether it's, when they're playing, at the Olympics, they're a competitive, like people expect a lot more than they did 10, 15 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
But obviously there's guys that are all over Europe. They're playing in, EPL or playing that are guys. And it's not just like kind of a token one dude.
No.
So it's kind of, the MLS has evolved and it's just, but kids from the States and they, that how much, just in the States it's evolved and how much it's more relevant. And it's and the MLS is a hell of a lot better than it was 10 years ago, 15 years ago. The competition. And you can see in the game when you're watching.
No, like, and that's the difference, like in American culture. Like, so in Europe, in Africa, and Asia, kids, when they're done with school or they're bored, they go kick a water bottle. They'll go kick a ball in the street. Right. In America, it's a little different. You guys know how to shoot a basketball. We all know how to throw a football. Yeah. Right. The guys that are in Europe and Asia and Africa, they don't know how to, like, they can do it. So, like, soccer is different. I think soccer is growing, and the good thing about MLS is growing, and I'm not saying soccer is going to take over all the sports. That's not the goal here, obviously. Sure. But it's impactful in youth. Like, kids are now, you can watch MLS and really actually pay attention. And I think that makes an impact on younger kids about what they want to do with themselves. And, I have a bunch of friends from Michigan who would always go play pickup basketball, and they all wanted to go to the NBA. They didn't, but they were out there playing basketball. Sure, and so I think that's how sports grow. It starts from youth and the impact it makes. And so now, I hope I see kids out on the street kicking the ball just because of the growth of soccer.
Great. And it's one of those sports that, that if you start playing at a young age and you're playing, you can look around and a lot of the dudes in the league look like you. Yeah. They're not 6'7" with like, these dudes like Broom for Auburn. I don't know if you're college basketball that have bounce and like, it's like, man, I don't look like that. I'll never be able to look like that. But it's a lot more desirable, I think, because, everyone, like I said, it's just.
You just see in Kansas City, like how many more soccer fields there are in Kansas City.
Yeah, no.
You look at the last 10 years, some of the complexes they're building, they're not building baseball fields. They're not building softball. They're building soccer complexes. Yeah. And it's girls and it's boys and it's starting young. It's the sport in Kansas City that most of them are playing
in Kansas City, you're right. There's more people signing up for soccer than playing football.
Yes.
Now, I'm talking from like there's kids now, like 6th, 7th, and 8th graders make a football, like a tackle football team, which, you go to a soccer field and there's tons of teams playing, and there's tons of teams playing after, like, out where you guys train, that youth soccer program, Saturdays out there, like you can't park.
Hectic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, you can't
It's
park.
crazy.
I can't. Yeah, it's like it's nuts. But there's so many kids playing, and you go to football. If you go to a youth football game, there might be one or two, and in basketball, it's kind of the same. But they're just
that's what I'm saying. These soccer tournaments and stuff that you're seeing all over the place. That's where you see the growth, and then with the sporting academy and all that, you see all these kids talking about. We have a transportation company, so I took a family just the other day that was going over to Paris and doing the whole thing, and that was their spring break with their son. So their son Cooper is going to be on the high level. They were talking about the academy.
Yeah.
What's the new higher level that they have in the academy? It was MLS something.
MLS Next.
Yes, MLS Next. So he made a team. He's going to play on it.
Yeah.
But his parents were surprising him over there. He was going to do 2 days of 2-hour training with some people over there in Europe, over in Paris, and he was going to go see Chelsea play. So he was so excited. He was like 11 years old, 12 years old.
Patrick's team, Chelsea, right?
Yeah. So it was really
no,
cool.
Liverpool.
He likes the worst team.
I told him that we were going to have you on the show tonight. He was like, "Man, I can't wait to watch the episode." So told him Jake D was coming on the show with us tonight.
Yeah, and so then we come back from break. We want to talk a little bit about you were just in Paris, right? And training with the U.S. team, which is big time, man. Yeah. That's big time.
It was good. Yeah, that's an experience I won't forget ever.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we'll take a little break here, and you got some more time.
Yeah, you got some more time. We're gonna take a break for a minute, and then we'll come back after break. We want to talk about a little bit of that USA when you were over there with Team of USA last year. Yeah. There's a few more things and questions that we want to ask that I got to ask you. So let's take a break, and then we'll come back to Love You Bro here in a few minutes.
Perfect.
Thanks, Jake.
Yep.
Guys, we'd like to thank our resident sponsor, Proactive Solutions. They've been with us from day one. They allow us, Love You Bro podcast, to get to do what we do each and every week, and that's bring you a new episode with new guests. So a big shout out to Dean and Natalie Thede at Proactive Solutions. Proactive Solutions has been delivering infrastructure solutions and IT design and consultation services to clients ranging from startups to Fortune 100 companies for more than 27 years. They are proud to be a Kansas City locally owned and a top woman-owned business, offering custom solutions and personalized support. So thank you to Proactive Solutions, Dean and Natalie. If you guys are interested and your company needs some IT solutions, reach out to Proactive Solutions at www.proactivesolutions.com. We have 2 great resident sponsors that really help us here at Love You Bro Podcast and allow us to do what we get to do week in and week out. Lula's Southern Cookhouse, Bradley and Brittany Gilmore, owners of Lula's. It's at 1617 Main Street. If you have not been down here, please come down on a Sunday and have brunch. Great wait staff, great bartenders. The ownership team with Bradley and Brittany Gilmore are just fantastic people, and they allow us to do what we get to do in this amazing event space at Lula's Southern Cookhouse. Welcome back to Love You Bro Podcast. We're back on the set with Jake Davis in the house. We got Jamie over here, man. So we're going to show some of our, we've talked about dropping our merch. Our merch store is going to be dropping here. Specialized Printing. Our boy Tommy O'Donnell over there has got us all flossed out. So we got a new sweatshirt today. This is our first guest that we're bringing on that gets some Love You Bro gear from Specialized Printing. So Tommy O'Donnell, man, got your little sweatshirt there, Jake, man.
Jake, you're going to look clean in that.
Little Love You Bro gear.
Nah, this is sweet. Yeah, that's top. I love it.
And
Maybe get a hat later, something like that.
Yeah, man, we got some hats and stuff coming out, so we'll get you a Love You Bro trucker hat. We just wanted to show too, man, some of our gear from Patrick and Jake brought on set, man. Brought
Sick
us some
kits, man.
Yeah, brought us some sporting Kansas City jerseys, man. We're super stoked about. Got our names put on there and everything. So thank you to Patrick and Jake and Sporting Kansas City, man. And Jake, again, thank you for your time, man, for coming on. Before we get into some of the USA stuff, I told you just a couple minutes ago, there's a couple questions I had for you, but I want to talk to you a little bit. I have a good friend that's in the sporting world, and she was telling me, she goes, "Oh, you got to ask him about the prank that Daniel played on April Fool's." So tell us kind of how that took place, and tell us about that a little bit.
Patrick getting quiet over there, huh?
Patrick, you in on that?
Yeah.
Patrick was in on that?
Listen, okay, I'll tell the story. So basically, I don't remember I think it was an elementary school. So basically, I was going to go to a class and just speak to a classroom, right? Simple. So that day, ironically, I was like, as we talked about before, I took a nap, was running a little late, so I'm rushing. It's like 40 minutes away. I'm rushing to get there. So I get there. parked in the wrong spot. The school's up on a hill. I'm running up the hill. I have nowhere to enter, so it's already a little like crazy. So I get in there and I'm like out of breath. I'm like, whew, whew. And so usually for appearances, there's no cameras, you know.
Yeah.
So like, but I'm so late. I'm so like crazy right now. Like I don't really catch anything. So like one of the guys put a mic on me. So at the time I didn't even catch it. I'm like, okay, do it. I'm late. So I get in there, and so I just, you know, I'm just talking to a bunch of little kids, you know. So they're asking me questions, and then like slowly they start asking about my teammate, like everything. And I'm like, okay, like I don't see a problem. Like I don't, you know, I'm not gonna be that guy that's like, if it's not about me, then okay, I'm not, like, you know, it's fine. Like they want to know, they like Daniel. And so so then after that they moved into like math. And so I didn't do good on the math. And so then yeah, thanks, Blue Valley West. Thanks. Yeah, thank you.
That's you playing that flip bottle and not being a math class.
Too much of that, yeah. And so and then they did a spelling bee. And this is a moment I'm very proud of, because they gave me some crazy word to spell, right? Crazy. Like, could not spell this if you gave me 10 attempts. And but earlier in the video, or earlier when I was talking, I asked what one of the kids' names was or something, like just random. And so I remembered the kid's name. And so I was like, you know what? Let's see if Mark, like I don't remember his name now, but I was like, I wonder if Marco can spell that. So I got out of it. I didn't even try to spell it. I was like, I'll give it to this kid. And so then after, I don't really remember how we transitioned, but I got back up there, and then I was just waiting for the teacher or the kids to say something again. And then this one kid in the back goes just like this is lame. We want Daniel. And so I take no hard feelings. You know, if it was lame, then okay, I'm sorry. But like, I was like, damn. And then the whole classroom started chanting that, and I was like, yo. And like these.
Damn, and Patrick's in on this?
Yeah, I can't even curse.
Patrick,
I was gonna go crazy.
My guy.
These fuckers.
Sorry. You're good, man. You're good.
These fuckers in the back, you know, they're even acting like it's going wrong. Like, oh fuck, what's going on? Like, oh hey, easy. Everything is like, I swear. And then all of a sudden, Daniel comes running in, and like at the time, so think about it. So before I came out, I'm like, yeah, Patrick, if there's any April Fool's stuff, I'm not coming in here.
Right.
So, but at that time, I didn't realize it was April Fool's was coming up.
Sure.
So when Daniel walked in, I'm like, oh my God, thank God Daniel's here. You know, not even thinking about April Fool's. And so then when he walked in, all the kids were like laughing, and then he was like, Jake, April Fool's, we got you, or something like that. And still, I'm not even registering. I'm like, bro, thank God you're here.
You're like,
oh my God.
That's sweet of you, man. That's like sweet, just like.
And then all these little kids wanted my autograph. I was like, all right, yeah.
Now get Daniel's, man. Daniel's right here, straight up. You know what's fun? Just funny, because April's. So I picked up my oldest daughter. She's 6. So we're waiting in line to pick up my youngest, and she goes, Dad, I got a real good April Fool's joke. And I go, no, baby, I don't play like that. I don't need you to say I'm falling down or I'm sick or that. And I'm like, I don't like those jokes. And she was like, well, I got one for you. But that is incredible, man. What a story.
That was, honestly, I left like it was, I've never left an appearance like with my heart beating so fast. Just like so worried that I just failed this classroom. But then I realized it was a joke, and I was relieved. And Patrick was there.
Still, he's smile. He hasn't stopped smiling since you started talking the story.
Yeah, he's laughing over there. The camera. So, but like looking back, like if I wasn't running late, I would have for sure clocked something, because I got mic'd up. There were cameras in the back. Right. I didn't recognize these things, you know, and so did
Patrick tell you to get your hair right?
Yeah, no. This guy just was like, they took advantage of me being like, they're like, hey, you gotta hurry up. And so today when I walked in here, I'm like, yo. I even texted him. I'm like, dude, if there's any April Fool's shit, I'm not walking in.
No, I wouldn't do that to you.
April Fool's tomorrow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I was on it this year, I swear.
You're like, if this is some April Fool's shit.
Yeah, it was a good prank to looking back, but I wanted. So we have like a security, like a police officer that works for sporting, and I was gonna go to him, like his name's Dion, and I was gonna say like, Dion, go get 4 yellow boots for like cars, you know, and I'm gonna need you to put them on every one of these cars tomorrow. Like
that's everyone's definition.
So Patrick, this guy, Daniel,
Yeah, all of them.
But I didn't do it.
That's some funny shit, though.
Yeah.
Man. That's awesome.
I love it. Okay, well, thank you for telling us about that story.
That's
man, 'cause
all.
it's something
That's
we wanted to ask you about. I think we want to get into a little bit right now because we're very interested in your time last summer for the Team USA. Going over and playing over there in Europe and stuff.
Yeah.
How was that? How did you get
Paris, man.
How did you get selected? And when they gave you that call, does that come through Sporting? Does that come through your age? Like, how does that all happen?
Yeah.
And tell us about that experience.
So it was kind of a unique situation, and I won't say I got lucky, because I was playing good. I was in form with the team, and we were winning some games, and so I hadn't made like a camp before. So and obviously I was good enough to go there and whatever train, but I just hadn't been selected. And so whatever, I kept working, and so then when the actual time for the Olympic roster to come out came, sometimes guys that play in Europe, they don't get released by their clubs because they don't want players to get hurt. So two of the guys that play midfield and right back, they didn't get released to go. So then that meant that new players had to come in. And so unfortunately I hadn't been to a camp, but I was still playing really good during the season. And so the day that I found out, Peter had pulled me aside after a meeting, and I thought he was going to say something about a game. Because, maybe I had a mistake or I did something good.
Right, sure.
And he just said, they want to take you to the Olympics. And I don't know if you, I haven't really been involved in national team stuff, at all. And so I was, kind of shocked. And it was such a weird reaction for me, but I was like, well, should I go? Because I was so worried about us making playoffs and doing good in the Open Cup.
His coach is pretty stoic too.
Yeah.
So I can't imagine he was too high or too excited. He was just kind of like,
He was just clear. And then he kind of gave me a funny, Peter's a good guy, he jokes around sometimes. And he kind of gave me that look come on. Yeah.
So you gotta go.
And so, I really did want to go, but I really do care about sporting. And so I didn't want to, I wanted to do good for the team here too. And so
you were having a monster year. I mean, a great year.
Yeah. And so, thank you. And so, then later that day after practice, Marco, the head coach, called me, and he just told me I was going, and it was such a funny moment, something you'd never expect. So then I called my family.
Yeah, that's so big.
But the best part, though, and I'd say this truly, it was cool to go to the Olympics, but the funniest part was that Gianluca Busio was here, and he's my best friend. He used to play for Sporting.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so he's going to the Olympics. And so he was here in the summer. He comes here in the offseason every summer, and we hang out the whole summer. And so that summer of the Olympics, last summer, he was gonna have to leave early because he was going to the Olympics, and I wasn't. I didn't think I was going. And I swear to you, it was the funniest thing because he was staying in an Airbnb here. And after practice, I would just go hang out with him there. So I drove home, and I just walked in the door. He was just sitting there, and I'm like, yo, I got some news for you, bro. And he was, him and I just, joke around. He's like, what you got for me, bro? And I'm like, bro, I'm going to the Olympics with you. And it was so funny, though, because the least expected thing is, so I'm going to the Olympics with my best friend, and spend another month together just hanging out, we said this is
Paris.
Yeah, that's awesome.
This is kind of
really
a joke.
cool.
But, we're some goofballs. We were like, damn. Because I've known him since I was, 16.
Right.
We're like, damn, just two dumbasses at the Olympics. Who would have thought this would have happened out of, us, being friends? And so... and on a real note, the Olympics was good, and I didn't play any games there. I was there for the experience and to help the team on a training basis, but it made me so much better just being around those guys. And
iron sharpens iron.
Yeah, man. And so and obviously I hadn't been to a camp yet, so I was a little I was unsure. Am I at this level with these players?
Right.
And I went on a training, and we played 2 friendlies before the Olympics started, and then I played good in those games, and in training, I crushed it. I was, I fit in there.
Sure.
And so that gave me a lot more confidence. And then obviously, seeing the level at the Olympics, being around new players, new staff, it was just a good learning experience. Yeah. And sometimes I always thought a learning experience goes so far. How much can that really make an impact? But it really... You'd be surprised. You'd think, Jake went to the Olympics, didn't play any games. Right. But you can't look at it like that.
No
Like,
way.
it gave me so much momentum coming back here, and when I came back, I flew right back into sporting, and I was killing it, and, and I'm really grateful.
I was going to ask you. So when you're over there and you talk about like, do I belong in this level?
Yeah.
How quick in your mindset do you get on the field? How quick in your mindset do you realize, you know what, I'm just as good as these guys. I belong here.
It was just moments. Like the first training I remember, like, obviously I'd say butterflies. I wasn't nervous. I wasn't like walking around quiet. I was just like, okay, here we go. And I just remember the first training session that I trained, I just had a good session. I didn't do anything special, didn't do anything bad. Like, it was
solid.
I just made good plays, made good tackles. Like, I was just there, and after that I was like, yeah, like, should have called me up before. Damn.
Yeah.
And so so like, I mean, I'm not the arrogant type of guy, but like, I fit in. And also you have to think, like, the only person I really John Poole's camp went to, but the only people I ever knew going in there was John Luca and John. So it's also a bit, when you if you move to, I don't want to say this, but actually I won't say that. I was going to say St. Louis.
You can say that here.
Let's say you move to Dallas. Right? I don't like St. Louis.
Yeah, I don't like St. Louis either.
Yeah,
We're
no.
good.
Yeah.
We don't
So
like
let's-
St. Louis here.
Yeah,
Fuck the ravioli.
Let's just say you move to Dallas. Like, it's tough when you don't know anybody.
Sure.
And it's not like you're scared. It's just like feeling it out.
Yeah,
and so I was
of course.
feeling the soccer out. I was feeling how, like, my new teammates are, or whoever they were. Like, I don't want to be the guy to go in there and be like laughing at jokes I don't even know. Like something like that type of guy. So I was kind of quiet, and then, one day, like, one of these guys, his name's Kevin Paredes, who plays in Germany. I was talking to John Lucas saying some silly stuff, and he was like, yo, this guy been quiet the whole time. He's just as dumb as us. Just as silly as us. And so I was like, you talking to me? Yeah. And so then after that, like, it was good and it was fun. So, like, the soccer experience was great, and just getting to know new people was amazing.
Yeah.
Right.
So to touch on I've watched some of your goals. Like the FC Austin goal against FC Austin was sick.
Yeah.
But the one against Orlando, like, that was dope.
Yeah.
But what's been your favorite goal? Because you had a goal that was nominated for goal of the year in the MLS.
Yeah.
And that shit was dope.
Yeah.
That was wild.
No,
like, what's your favorite goal?
I would say, like, it's interesting. Like, they were all pretty good goals. I think I'd say the one against Orlando at home was just more special because, first off, I'm at home. I've never
shook
scored
some
at home.
defenders.
Yeah, and exactly. So, like, I think the goal kind of had a little bit of everything in it. I stole the ball back. I beat a couple guys on the dribble, and then I had a good finish with my left foot. Like, something that, when I'm in the midfield, like, that can happen.
Sure.
Those are the type of plays that I can make.
Sure.
I wouldn't say going out and scoring a goal, but like that. Like, that's a good scenario. But, like, winning the ball back and making something happen from that.
Yeah.
And so, that, I always watch the video of that goal, because not just, like, on the actual Apple TV thing. Like, someone took a video, like, in slow motion, and I'm like, wow, like that. That's a
it's
special
sick.
moment.
It's
a special
super. It's
moment.
super
cool.
cool. And so with that being said, like, we're 15 in the academy. What's it like to finally score one?
Yeah.
Children's Mercy.
crazy.
It's like, what's it like to do that in that, like, shit, at 15, you're like, man, I want to and I hope to be here one day. But then to doing it in the cauldron and all that shit that is, what it is. What's it? Do you go numb? Do you go? Because I've heard some people say they hit home runs or score touchdowns. Like, shit, just
Black out for a minute. Black out for a minute. Yeah.
It's just like I couldn't even tell you what, like. First off, winning games at home is even better.
Sure.
I'd say just like in front of everyone's happy, but like scoring a goal, like when there in the video I just said, like, you can look. I look back and I just, like, I look at the fans and, like, you can see as it's about to go in, like, just a little kid, like, about to jump.
Right.
Like, I swear, like, when I watch it back, it gives me, like, goosebumps.
Yeah,
'Cause
yeah.
That's super
It's
cool.
like such a special moment.
Yeah.
And, like, when I scored, like, I'm just like you just have, like, that burst of, like, every emotion. You're like, yeah, I'm that fucking guy.
Yeah,
Like, I just did
100%,
that.
100%.
And then you're like, wow, like, look around, like, this is amazing.
and the place is erupted and fireworks going off and shit's happening. It's like, I mean, I can imagine, like, they say, like, touch Josh Allen, for example.
Yeah.
He's like, I black out every time I score.
Yeah.
And that motherfucker scores a lot.
Yeah.
I'm like, you black out a lot,
Yo,
dog. You should be
blacking out
checking
too
your
much.
shit because you're blacking out a lot.
Yeah.
But, but like, it goes silent. It goes,
Yeah,
just
you
like it
don't
just
think. You just do.
But for a young man like you that at 15, all the sacrifices and this shit you find like you
comes
put
full
it on,
circle, right?
No,
I mean,
trust
it's
me.
just like
and we won that game.
yeah,
And like, like I have a real attachment here. Like I came here as a boy.
yeah.
Patrick, seriously? No. Like I came here as a boy and I'm playing now as a man here. And so like to do that, and I watch it back and it's just like you get emotional. Like
Sure.
I swear, like I don't want to deep it, but like, a couple days after that game, I'm watching it back and I'm like, wow.
It's an
like,
insane goal. I mean, that shit is like, it wasn't like, it wasn't a give me. It wasn't like that shit was like.
It represents everything, and I haven't been to war. Like coming here and moving here in the academy is not like going to war. Like I don't want to say but it's hard.
Yeah,
like it's like survival of the fittest. You're like,
it's a lot, man.
We're all teammates in the academy, but like I'm trying to make it. I don't really care about y'all.
Yeah.
Right.
But like just like it's like a burst of like all those memories of what you went through. And
sure.
Like for that moment to do that at home and we won.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's like, and again, like that was one moment.
Yeah.
And I got to keep doing that. And plain and simple, I don't want to just be happy for that.
Yeah.
But it gives you more like hunger and motivation. Like I want to keep doing that for this team.
And I think it's a testament to who you are, as a young man. But each year you've got better and better and better, and it's a testament to how hard you work and at your craft and what you want your end goal to be and what you want it to look like when you ride off. And it's like you work your ass off, man, and you've gotten better and better. And it's not like you can watch a match and see, and you're like, he was good when you came in, but it's like he's gotten better, and you've gotten better at places that you maybe weren't not as efficient at, but you have gotten better. And it's like, man, it's a kid that works. And so it doesn't surprise me that you get the invitations and you'll be a guy that's on the U.S. team.
For sure.
I mean, it is.
But that's the most important thing. I think my dad and I, it's like a pillar of like, I mean, we used to have the longest conversations, and obviously he has a lot of experience in soccer, but like, it's just more about like, literally we would text each other this, or he would text me this. No matter what's going on, how you feel about where you're playing, if you're not playing, just like keep your head down and do the work. Like that's literally all you can do.
That's awesome.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful words,
like,
man.
Literally, like all we've written. Like
that's awesome.
And we would have some deep conversations, but to simplify everything, it's just that. And you see a lot of athletes nowadays. You don't see a lot, but like some guys make it to the top and then they go away. Like, and I think that's always a thing I've been cautious of. Like I don't want to. Obviously, last year was a good year, and the year before that we made the playoffs, and I had a good year. Now this year is, it's going all right, and so, but I don't want to be that guy that's a flash in the pan, and that's why I always stick to just keep your head down, do the work, and like I want to stick to that.
Yeah, no, for sure.
So if there's anything you could like, when you look back on that, and you're talking out, guys are listening to our podcast, and we're talking, what words of wisdom, advice would you give to somebody coming to play for the academy?
So for the academy, I would just say like be prepared for the sacrifice. It's not going to be easy, but it'll all be worth it if you really put your mind to it. Don't get distracted by the girls, the high school, and living the kid life. Like you gotta be a pro at 15. The mentality part.
That's awesome.
So, but I would say to anybody like trying to be a pro, especially from like you're young. Like sometimes parents ask me like, what are you going to say? Like, well, what do you have to say for my kid? And which is fine. But like when you're young, you got to have fun. Like, that's why I love this game to this day, because I played soccer for my dad. My dad runs a club in Michigan. I played for him, and you'd think, oh, maybe that's a conflict of interest, but like I just enjoyed the game.
Yeah.
I grew a love for it. It was like my first love. And like that's my biggest advice. Like you got to really love what you do.
Yeah, for sure. I got a question. We're going to wrap up here soon, but about Pops and how the Messi, Mahomes,
that's what I wanted to get into.
And if you don't want to touch it, you don't have to touch on it.
No, it's fine.
It was such a monumental introduction meeting, and it was obviously you're living here now. It was on the radio waves. It was on X. It was on national media. It was everything about how that was going to happen. Yeah. And it's funny because I was sitting with some homies and I'm like, man, Messi ain't gonna know who the fuck he is.
Yeah.
He's gonna be like, he's just so global and so big that it's like,
and he's also not American.
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
he's
exactly.
Not, But yeah. So I didn't even know this was happening, to be honest, because my dad and I talk, and this guy's, he's Mr. Enigma sometimes. He's like, oh yeah, I had to do this. And I'm like, yo, come on.
Yeah.
So I was just getting ready for the game, and I was in the training room for getting some my ankle tape or something. And on the TV is the match preview, and like all the trainers are like, "Is that your dad?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" Like he's like, "Well, Patrick Mahomes is about to meet Messi. Like, is that he looks just like you? Is he right next to Patrick?" And I'm like looking, and I'm like, "Yeah, what the heck is he doing there?" And so, after the game, he got some you could see him like holding the video, like he's taking a video of this moment. It's like two worlds colliding, yeah. And so, and it's cool, and like just as a father-son moment, I'm like, damn, we're some cool guys. Like you're doing this, and I'm playing. Like this is kind of cool. So
I was gonna say, so how cool is that for your dad? I was talking offset. Patrick and I were talking a little bit, and we were talking about the whole meeting. Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City is who he is. He's been to 5 Super Bowls, won 3, but obviously Messi's on that global. But how cool is that to see your dad bring Patrick Mahomes and Messi together for that meeting?
Shout out to Pops, boy.
Yeah, man. Shout out
Pops
to your dad.
the real one.
Yeah, he's cool. Like, yeah,
you're being modest. Pop's the real one, man. Shout out to Pops.
Like he's he downplays everything, but like he knows like it's Patrick Mahomes and Messi.
Right.
The two rarest guys you're ever gonna see. Like,
right.
What?
And the coolest.
Yeah, and the coolest dudes. Like, and so it was in it's just crazy. Like, it's so hard to fathom that as just like a family. Because we're a big soccer family.
Right.
This is my dad. Just my dad. Not like this Adidas soccer guy. Like, just my dad.
Right.
Made Patrick meet Messi. Or helped him.
Right.
Sorry.
Helped
him.
Yeah, we get it.
Or directed.
Yeah.
And then I was on the field playing against Messi. Like,
like
what? It's like, and I've been a Messi fan forever, and since moving to Kansas City, I know how big Patrick Mahomes is and what he does here. But like,
have you converted from a Lions fan to a Chiefs fan?
Yeah, I'd say. Like, on the podcast, I'll say yeah.
So how many games have you been to at Arrowhead? Have you been to very many games? You've never been?
Never been.
Okay, well, from Love You Bro podcast, we're going to invite you next
Giddy
fall
up.
to a game. We want you to come and do a game with us.
Yeah.
We sit third row behind the bench.
Yeah.
So
Perfect.
we'd love for you to come and sit, and if you want to, have a few pops with us, watch a Chiefs game in the third row.
All right.
You can do that with us?
Yeah,
Hey, listen,
turn up.
and as the season goes on, you're probably going to have a couple more fat guys in the stands drinking beers,
all right.
yelling your name. So,
That's fine.
hey, when you see us, at least give us like, okay, those are my guys
Oh,
from Love You, Bro.
Yeah.
Hey, I'll put a Chelsea kid on, be a hooligan up there.
All right.
I say I'm with Patrick.
Yeah.
Hey, but before we let you go, Jake, just quick, and I know we can't touch on a whole lot, but I mean, how excited is the sporting community as Kansas City as a whole with the World Cup coming there next summer?
Yeah, no, I think it's big. I think soccer in Kansas City is already big, but like just from a purpose of it's the World Cup in America and it's coming to Kansas City, I think it's super influential, like I was talking about earlier. Just for people here and to see how big the game is and how, just like I think it'll make a big impact. And I don't want to touch too much on it, but I just think like it's special. It's just a cool moment for the city.
Kansas City's super excited. Well, listen, man, we can't thank Patrick. Thank you, Sporting Kansas City, for your guys' time and for coming on. Listen, man, you're part of the Love You Bro team now, so we're gonna ask you, to come on again.
Perfect.
The doors are always open.
Perfect.
Thank you so much for taking time out,
I've
man.
had a great time.
Listen,
love you, bro.
Good luck the rest of your season, man.
Thank you, man.
We love you here. I love you, bro, man. Thanks for coming on, and good luck the rest of the season.
Appreciate you big time.
All right.
All right.
Hey, we're out, man. Thanks, guys.